As fun as the Josh Dobbs story has been for the Minnesota Vikings, you really feel in order for this offense to maintain success, we're going to have to get a little bit more from our running game. And this weekend, Sunday Night Football in Denver is a great opportunity for the Minnesota Vikings to get back on track in the running game, or get on track in the running game to begin with. And a big component to that running game this week is going to be second-year running back Ty Chandler out of North Carolina. This last week had his first touchdown, 45 yards, the one touchdown, rushing throughout the day. Had a really nice run for his second touchdown that was taken off the board by a Brian O'Neill hold. But one thing you saw from Ty Chandler was that extra little bit of explosiveness that we just haven't seen enough from Alexander Madison. We did see in spurts with Akers. We just didn't feel like he saw the field enough in those games. But man, Ty Chandler just has an extra something special, and the stats prove it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and obviously we've all seen how he played in this first rookie season, preseason, even last year's preseason, and we really like what we saw. And so far, what we've seen from Madison is, like you said, I mean, just that extra boost, that extra explosion on these runs. Like he's just not fast enough. And not even just that, but even Ty Chandler's. I mean, he'll put his head down and run right up the middle. And we kind of seen it with Cam Akers as well. And we were seeing some good stuff out of Ty Chandler prior to our us signing Cam Akers. But when he came back in, once Cam Akers went down, like last week, I mean, he looked really good. And he had that one, that was a really good run that he had that came back because of Brian O'Neill's holding penalty. But ultimately, I mean, we feel like we have a solid player. So this is his opportunity. This is his game, assuming that as far as this video is made, as far as we know now, Alexander Madison's limited participation, but we haven't really these days, ever since the Tua injury, we haven't really seen anybody come back the same week after a concussion and going through concussion protocols. So I don't expect him to play. So it is a huge opportunity to see if Ty Chandler can possibly be the guy. And he's a fan favorite. A lot of people really like what we've seen in him. And I mean, and as well with Keenan, he came back from his injuries, and we haven't got a ton of him. We did see like the one little run last week where you can just see the difference in his speed, but we get to kind of see both of them and see what they can really bring to this table. And like I said, I mean, this is a real shot for Ty Chandler, and it's not just because he gets the full starting opportunity here. It's not even just the fact that the Vikings, according to PFF, have like the best or like the fourth best run blocking grade for a team that's like, no, I think they're the worst in actual running, but it's the fact that the Denver Broncos they arguably are the worst team in the NFL against the run. And this is the reason why I think in this game, and why we're highlighting Ty Chandler specifically here, is I do think this is the one where we run against this team, not just with Ty Chandler either, as well with Josh Dobbs. And I want to bring a couple things up here, right here. I mean, this is PFF's grade of their run rush defense grade and their tackling grade, which both of them are the worst in the NFL. 49.9 rush defense and 29.3 in tackling. And if you look here, they're the number one team, or they've allowed the most rushing yards this season with 1,425. They just had Jared Cook really light it up against them towards the end of the game last year. He had a fumble, so they like took him out of the game for like the first half or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge opportunity, I think, for Ty Chandler to come in and show like, hey, like I'm here and I can be this guy for you guys. And yeah, especially absolutely, with how we've seen from Madison.
Yeah, and that 14-25 breaks down 158 rushing yards per game, right? And obviously, it was the same thing when we played the Packers, right? The Packers have a pretty bad rush defense this year, and we thought we'd make some hay there. We just didn't do it. But I think, again, getting Ty Chandler some more opportunities, getting him, letting him bounce those runs to the outside, and then if Madison does play, which I don't think he will, but either way, when he comes back into an offense where there's a different type of running back there, and he kind of gets those secondary reps, his game is going to open up a whole lot more. Because as we talked about in the past, he's definitely one of those one cut, hit the hole type running backs. And this year, I feel like he's been trying to play kind of out of his comfort area, and he's trying to make things happen when he doesn't have that quickness to bounce it to the outside, like a Ty Chandler, like a Cam Akers, like a Keenan we saw last week as well.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's the biggest thing. And like I said earlier, in order for this offense to reach its full potential, to where this week we're going against one of the top corners in the league, and Patrick Surtain II in Denver's secondary there, in order to open up the passing game and keep our offense consistent throughout the season, like, yeah, Josh Dobbs is a cool story now, right? But eventually teams are going to get tape on him. They're going to figure out how to play him in this offense. And in order to keep people on their toes, you're going to have to get the running game going. And Josh Dobbs has kind of been the kickstarter to our running game. I believe he had 44 yards last week or something like that.
44, yep,
Another
and his
solid
touchdown.
rushing output and the touchdown. So just to see the full extent of this offense, man, like we need to get more out of this running game from the running backs, not just from the quarterback himself. And man, if we can start running the ball effectively and get JJ back in the fold in this offense, have the offensive line keep playing well, like, man, this team could be something special this season. So, and for a quarterback like Josh Dobbs, who is a journeyman and he is still getting settled in here, just keeping people guessing with what we're going to do on offense and being able to run the ball effectively when we line up to run the ball, it's gonna be fantastic. And there's no better way than going against the worst rush defense in football to get your confidence, get your mojo flowing from the running game, and carry that into the stretch run throughout the rest of the season. So, I mean, that's definitely where the focus needs to be this week. Getting the running game going. Obviously, you don't want to run too much if it just ain't working, because we do have weapons on the outside, especially if JJ comes back. But yeah, I mean, because this defense poses. Sure, I mean, sure. Again, the statistics might not show it, but this defense does pose some threats to this offense if we can't get the run game going.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we got, like you've already mentioned, I mean, we have a mobile quarterback too, and I'd like to see some more plays, running plays specifically just for him as well, because that can really shake things up. And I mean, something like that could just change be the big difference of our run game going forward too, having a quarterback that you have to worry about running as well, not just the running backs. So I'd like to see some more of that, because we haven't seen a ton of it at all this season, even when, well, obviously with Kirk Cousins, you're not going to do that. But even when Jaron Hall's first drive, there wasn't really any called plays. And so far, I think there was one play last week where it was, I don't know if it's fourth down or third down, and we did have a called run there. But I want to see it more often because that's how you get option plays and stuff like that. And that's what's going to confuse this defense that already, like we've been saying, is the worst rushing defense in the NFL. So this is a game where I think you absolutely come in there with that idea and at least start. And then, of course, like we all know, as soon as the run game gets going, then the play actions get going. And now you're talking about, and we're talking about Surtain earlier, is if we do get Justin Jefferson back this week, which we definitely could, he's been pretty, hush hush about the idea of it, but maybe he does, and that'd be huge because obviously we have to go against Surtain, and that's something we have to worry about. But we still have Jordan Addison, we still have TJ Hawkinson, we still have so many weapons on that offense that, I mean, if we get the run game going, I mean, they're going to have no idea what to do against us, and that's why I ultimately think this should be a pretty simple win. Obviously, it's football in every given Sunday, whatever, but this seems like a game we should absolutely win, and that's because I think we have what it takes in the run game, and then we have enough talent if we get that going to win this. And then also, according to PFF, actually one more thing, anybody who's watching this video, if you like what you see, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that big time. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, so that'd be huge for us. But what I wanted to say is also, according to PFF, we're also been the #1 pass blocking team in the NFL, which is crazy to say, but that brings me to another thing, and I know you'll probably want to go in this a little bit more, switching to defense a little here, but I believe the Broncos do not have the best pass rush this season either, especially since they got rid of some pieces prior to the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, looking at overall stats here, I believe they're 29th in the league in overall sacks at 17. And also, like, yeah, you want to talk about how bad they are against the run, but overall, they're giving up 401 yards per game this season so far. Like, that ain't great,
Yeah,
right?
not great in the other than Surtain, they're not that great in the pass either.
No, I mean, interception wise, they don't have a ton of interceptions either. So I mean, I believe let's see here, they are, I guess they're 9th in the league with 9 total defensive interceptions, which kind of is what it is there. But we played a team last week that had quite a bit more than that. So I mean, yes, Patrick Surtain is difficult, and it'll be interesting if JJ comes back, or even Addison, and like those matchups are going to be a lot of fun to watch, I think. But outside of that, I mean, their top sack guy is going to be Nick Bonito, the linebacker. He's got 5.5. Their other linebacker, Jonathan Cooper, has 4.5. Other than that, they have one guy with 3, and after that, there's 2 other guys that have at least 1, maybe one guy. Other guy has 2 sacks. So this defense doesn't really get after quarterbacks as some of these other teams that we've seen so far. So I mean, if you can get that running game going, you can attack these guys from all angles here. like, man, this could be one of those games where we finally win a game handily, And I think
Yeah.
this would be a great opportunity to do it because I mean, if you look at the other side of the ball, I mean, their offense under stupid Sean Payton, who I still don't like, is starting to come around a little bit. Russell Wilson, I mean, last week you looked at the stat line 120, 193 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he was 24 or 29. He was accurate on his throws. So it's like, and just kind of, he threw a really nice touchdown to Cortland Sutton, who's a solid receiver, whose breakout season was kind of stunted after his ACL tear a couple years back. But he's still definitely a solid receiver. He had that really nice touchdown grab in the corner of the end zone. But and that was all because Russell Wilson just made something happen. I feel like last year, I don't know if there was just like last year was just weird for him. I mean, I know Nathaniel Hackett did a pretty bad job calling offense for that team. I think they're just kind of letting Russ be Russ, and it's starting to work a little more. He's coming around a little bit. His stats don't look huge, but he's starting to do some of those things that made Russell Wilson, the legendary third round pick who turned into a perennial Pro Bowler, 11, 12-year starter. So, and they got Jerry Jeudy, who still got some talent. Their running game, Javonte Williams is finally starting to turn around, as well as Samaje Ryan, who can be solid. I think he may have had a reception touchdown.
And McCaughlin, the rookie.
So
the rookie McCaughlin.
Yeah, for sure. And then they have Marvin Mims, who's a deep threat over there. So
who is also on the I think he did not participate. Maybe he's limited. Okay. No, I think he's limited. He was on the injury. I think he's on the injury report as well. But yeah, Javonte Williams. I mean, we're talking about the rushing offense on our side, but their side, I do think that is kind of going to be the X factor for them because he's been obviously coming off of an ACL tear. He's been getting ramped up. I think he has over 20 carries these last 2 games and has looked really good in them. And I mean, that's the thing about the Broncos as well as a whole. I mean, they're also coming off of wins against Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, 2 of the top teams in the entire NFL. And obviously we lost to Kansas City. We should have maybe won that game, but so that's the thing too, is like, we definitely can't go into this game right now. Like, oh, we're just going to go beat up this team. I don't think we're even quite, obviously we're on a 5-game win streak, right? Yep. 5-game win streak. We're on a 5-game win streak. So, but other than that, like, I don't think we're quite there yet to be like, hey, we're just going to go beat up any team out here. And I do think seeing how the Broncos have just beat Kansas City and the Bills means we do have to worry about some things. And like you said, they still do have Russell Wilson, who, he might not be putting up these crazy stats right now, but he still has a little bit of that Russ magic. And we saw it this last game where he's going to avoid pressure. So a thing that we've seen as Viking fans a lot every time we've played him. And that's something we still have to worry about. And him with that. And then also, like I said, with Javonte Williams in the run game and our run defense wanting to be pretty solid sometimes or absolutely terrible in a few games, if not arguably some of the worst performance probably in the NFL this season. And so it's something we do have to worry about. And I do think, I really do, if we keep their run game in check and we use ours effectively, I think that's the key to victory in this game. And I think if our run game doesn't work out, I still think we have enough talent to win this game. But if we can get that run game going, I do think we're going to end up seeing a game that we win by more than a touchdown.
Yeah. But I mean, what you got here is you got 2 teams that are full of confidence right now. Obviously, Vikings on a 5-game win streak. Denver's on a 3-game win streak of their own. Like you said, beating some pretty good teams in that stretch. They're a little more fresh coming off the bye a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, something's got to give here. Vikings on the road have been pretty solid this year. I think they've only lost 1 game on the road so far. So, I mean, it's going to be a good test. Like I said, both teams full of confidence right now, both riding some win streaks. And let's get into some score predictions here. How do you see this one shaking out?
Ooh, score prediction. So what did I'm going to say that we destroy them. I do think every time we play Russell Wilson, the hard part is I'm just getting more and more optimistic as we go. And last game, obviously we're absolutely blowing out a Saints defense that is actually really good, 27-3. But before things got a little conservative, we let them kind of come back. But KOC recognized it after the game and said, yeah, I should have gave our players more opportunity to make plays in the second half. I think he doesn't make that same mistake again. Of course, against Russell Wilson, anything can happen for us because we've seen him do great things against us before. But I still say we end up winning this game 30-14. I think Josh Dobbs keeps it going. I think we do see a lot more running out of him. and especially if JJ comes back and ultimately we handle this game the way we should. How about
I'm
you?
going to go, I'm going to say like 24-17. I do think it'll be a little bit tighter. Like I said earlier, it's a chance to maybe win by more than one score. I just think, I mean, I know we've been really good. Flores has really schemed well for the quarterbacks that are mobile. We've done a pretty solid job at keeping quarterbacks contained. But I do think Russell Wilson's playing pretty confident right now too. I think he is going to find a little bit of magic, but I do think eventually the Vikings do outlast them, end up winning this game by a touchdown, extend the winning streak to 6 games, going into a Monday night showdown at US Bank Stadium against the Chicago Bears. So, yeah, I think we're all on the same page here. Vikings find a way to win this game. We want to know what you guys think. Drop your score predictions in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys next time right here on the GG Sports Podcast.
Skol Vikes.